I'm Luan. I'm fighting Payton Corrigan.
I think they're going to be really good kickboxers, and I think I'm going to do really good in the boxing. Coach, our gym, always has us ready and be prepared for everything, so I think I'm going to do good.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Luan Center.
Luan Center. Another low kick match.
Yes, Luan is from the Scorpions Martial Arts Academy, and that is in George Western Cape in South Africa. George Western Cape. I'd have to Google that and see where it is. But
thank God for Google.
I've been to Pretoria and Johannesburg and fought there in South Africa, but I didn't get a chance to get to George Western Cape. But on my next trip, I might stop by and visit young Luan. Luan is 17 years old.
Please welcome Payton Corrigan.
Luan is 17, Payton is 16. They've been fighting between 5 and 8 years each. Luan is a 3-time WACO South African national champion. And his nickname, guess what his nickname is? It's the Terror. So we're going to see whether or not Luan is terrorizing his opponent. He also actually fights tatami, which is the mat sport in kickboxing. But today he'll be fighting in the ring. He's got a very interesting story too. He started fighting because he was being bullied. So as a young man, he was being bullied, got into martial arts, and now we're going to see what that has resulted in.
It does promote that confidence that allows you to stand up to some people that you wouldn't normally.
Absolutely.
Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He weighed in at 73.5 kilograms. He represents Scorpion Martial Arts Academy, all the way from South Africa. Please put your hands together for Luan Center. His opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He weighed in at 73 kilograms, representing Cal Samarin from Bowmanville, Payton Corrigan.
Yeah, I was mentioning that Luan got into this because he was being bullied. But another interesting story was our first fighter, Barbara House from South Africa. She actually was a heavier person, and she lost quite a fair amount of weight. She got into martial arts as a weight loss program, and then eventually transitioned into a fighter. And you know, the sky's the limit for her. She's
if you feel like you can do it.
Oh my goodness! And now she's become a champion. So that is inspiring, and it should encourage other people to know that you can't be limited by age or circumstances. If you want to do something, in spite of what other people will say, go for it. I fought till I was 52, and no one would have encouraged me to do that. But so I inspired Barbara as well to keep going. So let's watch these two gentlemen now as they start their first round of this now K1 battle. So here comes some knees.
So explain to me what K1 is.
So K1 is a modified version of, Muay Thai fighting. Muay Thai is the art of 8 limbs, where you fight, you've got two fists, 2 elbows, 2 knees, and 2 feet. And K1 takes out the elbows. And in the WACO rules, for the clinch, they get 5 seconds in the clinch, and they go to work and do as much damage as they can in those 5 seconds before the ref calls them to separate.
A little blood on the mat.
The Canadian did have to get his nose wiped for a little bit of blood, and the referee's calling them both to the neutral corner while they get a little bit of a cleanup. When there's a lot of blood, the athletes are fighting in bare feet, plus they may fall down. So again, safety, primary concern. We want to make sure that gets cleaned up. So we're about to do a little bit of cleaning on the ring. go. So you'll notice sometimes when you watch the professional bouts that the rings are pretty blood-soaked, and we would prefer that it not be so. Again, safety first. So they're going to do a little bit of cleaning up here. So it looks like Payton has a little bit of a bleeding nose, so we'll hopefully see that stemmed. Meanwhile, the blue athlete, Luan, is anxious to get back to doing what he does while our referee cleans up the ring.
And we call this Zamboni in Canada.
Yes, kickboxing Zamboni. All right, so here we go. The time has started again. They had a stop
nose
time.
is not stopping the blood.
Okay.
But
So here's the clinch and the knees for 5 seconds. Then the referee calls the stop. Excellent front push by the South African. Warded off. Oh, and his helmet is off. So that's going to be a stop time. And we're going to have to do something about his equipment.
only in a K1 match.
The red athlete needing to be wiped up again. He's definitely got a bit of a nose. Now, we have a doctor on site always for all of the matches. The athletes are reviewed by the doctor after their bouts. In an instance like this, if it becomes problematic, then the doctor will examine the athlete to ensure that he is safe to continue fighting. Because sometimes there could be a break or... So here we go. So far, he's cleaned up. Referee warning both athletes to make sure they stop when he calls them to. Solid hit by the Canadian on the chin of the South African. And they're into the clinch again. On the break, they step back and re-engage. And there's the bell. Wow, what do you think of that one?
He's gonna need a shower after this. There's so much blood on him. Oh man, these guys have been going at it the whole round. And
So
I
while
can't
the
believe that we have blood. Let's take it to the red corner.
Seconds out.
All right, this
Here we
is
go.
only just the second round. Feels
Yes.
like they've been fighting a while. All right. Hard to call who got that first round. Helmet
that
comes
helmet?
off of the blue athlete again, so Luan has lost his helmet a second time. They may need to change the helmet. If it
Yeah, they
doesn't
definitely
stay on the
changed it
athlete.
there. It's a new helmet coming on.
When you bring him on that uppercut, hand first now. Do not overhand.
Starting off with
It was a little stun there, I seen that.
oh, and a nice rally by Vettner. Canadian grabbing and pulling him down.
Just to clarify, this is a K1 fight. They are allowed to throw.
So there's a... All right, and the crowd is now getting into this.
Yeah, they're definitely liking it.
Okay, now both athletes, oh, we're told to break. We'll see what the referee has got them back at it. Okay, it's getting heated. They're still demonstrating great skill. Beautiful push kick. That's what we call a teep. A beautiful push kick to the chest.
Would he still get the...
The South African dropping the Canadian with his push kick. And now they're going at the clinch again.
Let's see some kicks. Let's see some kicks. Hey! Hey! Push off. Knee. Push off. Knee. Hey!
There's a nice knee by the Canadian.
There's those knees again.
You're pressure now. Let's get it.
We may need to back up here a little bit.
There's that push kick again.
Hey! He's tired.
Oh.
Gassing him. Payton, he's tired.
Yep, just like
Push the face.
the coach said, Luan is tired.
Now, so they need to, okay, the doctor has approached the ring now because the bleeding situation hasn't resolved itself. He will make a determination. He'll be able to tell whether or not there's a serious injury, or some people are what we call bleeders. Some people just bleed easily. Otherwise, it could actually be an injury. The doctors deem that he can continue to compete, and so off we go.
First with the punches. Let the hands go.
They're sizing each other up. So South African trying to keep his distance and pick his
He's a lot more
shots.
vocal too. I noticed he's expelling the voice as he punches.
All right, there we go with the bell. So we'll see how this third and final round goes. You know, the Canadian does have a situation with the bleeding nose. The doctors deemed that it's okay for him to continue the competition. So these two will continue to battle it out. Again, safety being our priority with Wacko. I should just mention as well that this is 2018. We've been in existence for a number of years, and our membership base is continuing to grow with the popularity of kickboxing and combative sports in general. Kickboxing is such a key component to that. So we welcome membership from different teams. WACO is the Canadian sports organization that's authorized to run sanctioned events. Sanctioned meaning that the government, they're government sanctioned. And so people need to Google wacocanada.org.
W-A-K-O.
WAKO.org. Canada. Round number 3. All right, so we're right where we started. Both athletes looking strong, throwing hands, feet. Oh, and the helmet's coming off of the blue athlete yet again.
They need to tighten up that helmet.
Some helmets fit some heads better than others. They may want to look at just changing it out completely. But in the interim, or it could just be that the Velcro is, you know, very sweaty.
Very bloody.
Not holding as well as it should. All right.
Look for it. It's there. It's there, Payton. Hunt for it.
So what I am noticing is that the Canadian tends to duck a lot after throwing his strike. So if the South African can pick up on that.
An uppercut will take him right out.
So yeah, this is one of the strategies that the fighters have to look at. What is it that your opponent does, and how can you take advantage of it? Okay, and it's up to the athlete to see that and utilize that information accordingly. Okay, the Canadian just dropped the South African again. All right, there's a solid shot to the Canadian's head by the South African, and he's now been pulled down one more
he's
time.
getting pulled down a lot.
South African, unfortunately, has had to spend a fair bit of time on the ring, and there's the spinning back fist, which at this level.
Let it go. He's gassing. Yes.
Whoa! Almost put him down. You
Okay.
can definitely see the fatigue in South Africa.
So the Canadian athlete has been warned for.
Again. Let the hands go. Let the hands go, Payton. Yes. Again. Let it go. He's gassing. You got it. Finish him.
So the South African down again.
Finish
So he's going to be looking to avoid that clinch with the Canadian, because the Canadian
seems
has
to win it
pretty
every
much
time.
figured out a way to get the South African down. And there's the end of the round, the end of the fight. There's a hug. In spite, you can see both men, both young men, very tired. And so we'll await the decision. We've got 3 judges and a head table. The head table oversees the action that's taking place in the ring. So a lot of eyes on the action.
Our winner of this bloody contest, by split decision, in the blue corner, Luan Victor.
That's very interesting. That was a split decision. That shows you how close the scoring was by the judges. So we're just noticing at the head table here that we have a little bit of Payton's DNA.
We got blood here.
Yeah, so let's.
I'm just gonna keep my hand back and.
But yeah, no, definitely a very close, very tight battle, and it went to the South African. So he's very delighted with that win.
And that ties it up again. So this last bout will be the final deciding match of who wins Canada versus South Africa.
Oh yes, that's right. And then our final bout will be a prestige bout with 2 Canadian athletes.